Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very warm welcome to yet another session of conversations on consciousness. And today we have a very special guest, Srimati Shanthi Rammohan ji, who is joining us from Chennai. Uh, before we begin, let me start with a small prayer. Sada Shiva Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. A very warm welcome to you, Shanti ji. Thank you for coming on our platform for this session. Before we proceed, I just want to introduce you to our audience. Um, Srimati Shanti ji is a postgraduate in commerce, a Bharatanatyam teacher, and then she took to the path of Vedanta in 2005 at Los Angeles, and then she has studied the resident course in Chinmaya Sandipani in Mumbai, and she is doing Seva at Chinmaya Mission. She did it in 2013-2014, and she is currently serving Chinmaya International Foundation since 2014, and she regularly conducts webinars, courses, talks, and many other activities. We are very happy to have you. We are very honored to have you here, Shanti ji. So, without further ado, let me begin with my opening question. This is a question which I ask to all our guests. Please share us about your spiritual journey. Who were your early inspirations? Who were your early influences? And what are the events perhaps that led you to taking the path of spirituality or the Vedanta? Who introduced you? Tell us about the whole journey, some important aspects of it.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karuname Namami Chinmayam Bhevam Satgurum Brahmavidvaram Hari Om. I'm very happy to be part of your forum, the Indica Academy. It's a pleasure to talk about Vedanta and spirituality anytime. So that is my state of mind now. But where did I start? We come from a traditional South Indian family, with Bhakti being an important factor in our life. Rammohan ji was posted in US, and he was doing a project at Los Angeles for his company. At that time, I was also conducting Bharatanatyam classes and involved in that. Became a part of a puja group at Los Angeles. During one such puja gathering at a devotee's home, that was in 2005, I was specifically invited by a friend for a satsang at her home. It was on Ramana Maharishi ji's text Upadesha Sara, facilitated by one brahmachari, Girish Chaitanya of Chinmaya Mission. This was followed later by talks on Bhagavad Gita, where he very often quoted Viveka Chudamani and Upanishads. Me and my husband, we started developing a keen interest to know more of the scriptures. We never missed any opportunity to be, participating in the puja or in satsang. We would always be there, whether it be Shivaratri puja or some Vedanta classes. We would definitely participate in that. Our life shifted from the focus, from social focus to spirituality. I can only say that it is the divine grace and Guru Parampara's blessings that flowed into us through the acharyas of the mission. Our spiritual journey began only when we got associated with the Chinmaya Mission, Los Angeles. We started listening to Vedanta talks given by Girish Chaitanya at Los Angeles, who is now Swami Shivatmananda, the residential acharya in the mission center at Austin, Texas. Then we came under the guidance of Prabhu Chaitanya, now Swami Bodhatmananda in Mumbai, Swami Advayananda, who was our residential acharya at Sandipani, and also Samvit Chaitanya, who is now Swami Sharadananda. He was also guiding us during the Sandipani course. He was our Upa Acharya. They both, that is Swami Advayananda ji and Swami Sharadananda ji, they mentored us both in Vedanta and Bhakti Yoga. Just within 3 months of our becoming an Antevasi at the 2-year residential course at Sandipani, Mumbai, that is, which is at Powai, the Central Chinmaya Mission, I had a fall on my back, and due to which I suffered a slip disc. During the slow and gradual recovery period, where I was even bed laid for a month, all my co-seekers, the inmates of the center, and the various Swamijis and Swaminis expressed their compassion and love for me. Every day, they even prayed for my speedy recovery. They would chant, all of them, my co-seekers in the class. They used to pray along with Swami Sharadananda ji. Every day, they would chant Mrityunjaya Stotram for my speedy recovery. Our acharyas were also very compassionate to allow me to listen to the recordings. Normally, they don't do that. They allowed Rammohan ji to record the sessions. He would attend the session, get the recordings, and then he would bring it to our room, and then so that I could catch up with the sessions by taking down notes, even while lying down on the bed. My experience, I should say, my pen, would stop writing after 10 minutes because I was holding it the other way. The ink was flowing down this way, not the right way. So every 10 minutes, I had to take a pause and then, turn the pen and then again start writing. But then it really helped. This was, I could say this was like a month-long tapas and a test for my endurance in this pursuit of spirituality. I could not have done all this without the support of every individual in the Sandipani ashram, and of course my family members who stood by me during this period. I always recollect and share this with other sadhakas who also may have come across such difficulties in their path of spirituality. To the 2-year course, as a part of my seva at Chinmaya International Foundation, I was the home study course administrator. The department offers online and postal courses on Foundation Vedanta, Advanced Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Sanskrit courses. So I was also reviewing the course assignments every day. I would have corrected some, 15 papers, answer sheets. Each answer sheet would take nearly 20 to 25 minutes. So this also I was doing apart from being the administrator of the department. Then Swami Advayananda ji, head of SIF, suggested that I could take up online webinars for these courses offered by HSC, that is home study courses. Initially, I was not prepared and also a little hesitant to take up this task. It is all because of the encouraging words of my Acharya, which impelled and inspired me to embark on this novel method of teaching. Gradually, from the course webinars, we moved on to the text-based webinars. It was a very rewarding experience for me, not only for me, even for the sadhakas who participated in the webinars. I'm continuing this with the support of home study courses and Swami Advayanandaji's guidance. The students who joined me in the course webinar continue even now to be part of the text-based webinars. If you ask me what was the turning point in my life that led to taking up this path, I would say it was the satsang with Brahmachari Girish Chaitanya at Los Angeles. That transformed me from an ordinary grahastha to a seeker of the supreme truth. The invisible hand of Bhagavan gradually rearranged our life so that we could pursue this path and continue to remain steadfast. This is what has happened so far in this journey of our spirituality.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful account, Shantaji. This is kind of a gradual handheld-led path, I would say. You mentioned while you were narrating your life journey about how Swami Advayanandaji and Swami Sharadanandaji especially acted as your mentors and taught you Vedanta, Bhakti, and other things. So I would take that these two have been the most influential teachers in your life. So can you share more with about them, about your study with them, perhaps their teaching method, unique, or some interesting anecdotes, some personal conversation that you had with them that would be of interest to others?
Yeah, sure. Definitely, I would share that. See, when we joined the course, we were thinking, it is only going to be Vedanta and Vedanta and Vedanta. But when we went there, the experience I should definitely share with everyone, because we think once we move on to Vedantic studies, we have to give up Bhakti and Karma Yoga and all that. But then these 2 years of our, the course period, the Vedanta course period, it was an all-round development in the path of spirituality. The evolution happened only because we were provided the environment for expressing our bhakti, our devotion for Bhagavan. Swami Sharadanandaji was the one who was instrumental to guide us in this. Even he conducted special classes, those who were interested to attend. See, whole day we were involved in one class or the other. Starting from 5:30 in the morning, we have to climb all the way up a little small hillock, to reach the temple. And we would start the day with Vedic chanting, that is the suktas. This was taught by Swami Sharadanandaji with the intonations. And he was also our Sanskrit teacher. So he took care of the pronunciation also, Sanskritam. And we started the day with the Vedic chanting. And then we would have Vedanta class. Then it would be Sanskritam class. In between the homework, we have the assignment we would have been given for Sanskritam. We had to complete that also, and because Swamiji will ask anybody, he will ask, what have you written? What is the answer? So we had to be prepared for that also. And then stotra classes we had, after which we had our lunch. And then in the evening again, in between, we had time to prepare for the talks. We were also asked to give, starting with 5-minute talk. We were also, guided how to give the talks, how to begin the talk, how we should continue with the talk and conclude, and how to go about it. Each word in Sanskritam we had to take up and decipher the meaning along with the Vigraha Vakya. So all that we had to be thorough. So we took so many, nearly it will take 3 hours for 4 hours for us to prepare for 5-minute, 7-minute talk, because we were very particular that Swamiji's review should be good. On the stage, we had to go and sit in the way the Vedavyasa Peter will be there. We had to sit there and give the talk. There will be a mic and all the students will be there. And who will be asked to give that day's talk, we'll never know. So it will be a surprise. Swamiji will have the names in a box written in small pieces of paper, and then he would pick up one, and then it could be anybody. So everyone had to prepare every day's talk. So first we were assigned, like, we started with Bhaju Govindam, where we were assigned this sloka, which we should talk upon. And then gradually, when it came to Bhagavad Gita, it was not like that. He would randomly pick up somebody and then ask us to give the talk. And it became from 7 minutes to 10 minutes talk. So that way, we were given the guidance also. They prepared us also for, the future knowledge, for imparting the knowledge in future date. So some of the brahmacharis, most of them were brahmacharis. We were lucky at that time. The guest students were allowed to, be the students there. Now it is changed, like only the brahmacharis can take up the course. At that time at Sandipani, even guest students could join. So that is how we came from US and we came and landed in Mumbai and took up the course. So Swami Advaita ji would guide us with regard to Vedanta, how we should give talk and how we should look at people. The public speaking, he also brought in some experts on public speaking to train us how to talk, how to, how should the modulation be of our voice, and then where we should look, how to render the talk, everything, what should be the content of the talk, all that he gave precise guidance. And that way, that is very important, because that is only helping us even today. When we are conducting webinars, when we are giving talks, it really helps us. So that Swami Advaita ji was instrumental for the Vedanta classes. And Swami Sharadananda ji, the other things, he was the Upa-Acharya. Not only that, he was the Acharya taking care of all our needs also, day-to-day needs in the ashram. He also gave Bhagavatam talks in the night, which was satsang at the temple. So again, he had to climb and go to the temple, Jagadishwara temple there. And we had satsang on Bhagavatam. He would involve us in cultural events. Every festival, we had some cultural program, which was hosted by the students. So those who had talent in music, those who had talent in dance or drama, we could participate and, bring out our talent also there, exhibit our talent also there. And then he would involve us in all pujas. Every Thursday, we were taught how to do the Paduka Puja, Gurudev's Paduka Puja. So every Thursday, we performed the puja. Also, many people do not know how to do puja. I don't know whether you are aware of it. Some people, they get the Pandit and the Pandit does the puja. And either they sit and watch or they have a chit chat with their friends. That is how pujas are done. But then he made us perform the puja ourselves. We had to get all the things which are necessary for the puja, even the naivedyam. And then we would, do the puja. Not only that, any festival, we had to prepare the food also. So that culinary expertise which we had, that also we could, bring out. So this way, it was an all-around experience. It's not just Vedanta alone. Fond memories, you have asked this question by making me go back to my Sandipani days, where it was a very divine experience and a great experience, unforgettable experience. Yes.
Fascinating account, Shantiji, especially about the public speaking part. Very interesting. Moving forward, my next question is, what are, in your understanding, in your perspective, what are some of the global challenges that Vedanta can help solve today? This question is very relevant because um, we as a society have become very utilitarian in our thinking. We always ask, if somebody says something, we ask, what is the use? How is it useful to me or to us, to the society? So, from that perspective, I would love to have some answer from you on what are some of the global challenges that Vedanta can help resolve to some extent, if not completely solve it, but at least address it in a meaningful manner.
See, basically, what I can think of is all these challenges that are stemming, that we are facing. We can say are, stemming from the diversities in our country. As long as we assume that we are all different and unique individuals, challenges will remain and probably keep increasing also. Any attempt to find a unification in this diversity is next to impossible. At best, it can group us together either through a country or a religion or like-mindedness or gender, etc. Whereas Vedanta's approach is unique, since it asserts that all the diversities that is perceived by us is only apparent and not real. Though it has got some relevance in transactional level, at the absolute level, it has no specific relevance. The Vedantic example that I could give is that of various ornaments and its functionality that resolves into its gold content at the time of its purchase or its sale. This unique approach of Vedanta will enable us to downplay the impact of diversity in the world, such as caste, creed, gender, religion, philosophy, occupation, nationality, even contribution, and many more such factors. All of them, through Vedantic perspective, we can understand that they are only mere expressions. It is only Nama and Rupa and Guna. On that one single substratum, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. When this truth is realized, then universal acceptance becomes easy and people will be able to come together to quickly resolve issues, both global and at individual level. This will be spontaneous rather than engineered. Now, coming to the point that you said, we are all utilitarian society, where we are only thinking of what will I benefit. See, even where the scriptures accept that and they say, mandopi prayojanam vina na pravartate. Even a foolish person will not get engaged in an action without knowing what is the benefit that he will gain by putting in effort. So that is very true with regard to people who are ignorant. But when once we are exposed to Vedanta, we will understand we'll have to shift our attention from the whatever we are doing and gaining in this world of transactions to a higher level. This can happen only when we get the jnanam. Without that, even bhakti, as we had just talked about this, materialistic benefit, even bhakti is focused on that only. We are not moving from that artharthi bhakti, which Bhagavan is talking about in Bhagavad Gita, to jignasu bhakti. The jignasu bhakti, that yearning to know Bhagavan. Who is this Bhagavan? Who created me? We all understand that because we are here, the existence is there. There is a hand behind this existence or the creation, and that is the creator. That we all are able to accept, but we are not able to understand who is the creator, what is his real nature, and who am I, so that what I can establish the connection with the source, my connection with the source. That is true bhakti. And it is unique for each individual. I cannot say my experience will be the same experience for another person with regard to bhakti. So it's a unique experience where we connect and unite with Bhagavan, with the Creator. So once understanding myself and the Creator, what about this world? Bhagavan only has created this world also. So how do we resolve that? This world appears real, sufferings appear real. So how will I get across this? How will I overcome these difficulties, and how will I tackle day-to-day problems, and how will I approach this world? What is it that I should be doing? For that, we should understand what is this world. So this world is only apparent. That is why I had brought that example of this gold and gold ornaments. The gold is the substratum and the gold is the truth. Whereas the ornaments are name and form, and that is only apparent. It could change. It is changing every moment. It is everything in this world is changing. So it cannot be a permanent thing. It is only impermanent, and it is a changing world. So this, if we can understand, then most of our problems will get solved. Whether it be global challenges, and even facing challenges becomes much easier. It will not be an issue at all for each individual. And when it comes to global challenge, people also will think in the right direction to get a solution. They will not be confused, each one talking about different solutions, and then finally nothing is being done. That is what happens in most of the challenges. Like, for example, this global warming. Everybody talks about it, but what is being done? That will happen only if we can understand the reality of everything, whether it be world or whether it is individual. This understanding we'll gain, the correct understanding we'll gain, then it becomes easy to solve any problem.
Excellent perspective, Shantiji. Lot of food for thought on this. Moving on, you have you're a Bharatanatyam dancer. You're also Vedanta teacher. That makes you kind of in a unique position that you combine. You are inheritor of both Bharatiya Kala Parampara in the form of Bharatanatyam and Bharatiya Jnana Parampara in the form of Vedanta. So, tell us about how these two are, in a sense, because it is my fundamental belief that all Vidyasthanas of Sanatana Dharma, they are interlinked, interconnected, and to truly understand one, we have to understand all. So, so with this premise, tell us how you have integrated them, both of them, within you. How has your Vedantic learning, if at all, it has influenced your Bharatanatyam practice, or how is your background in Bharatanatyam has influenced your approach to Vedanta and spirituality?
Sure. So this, as I had mentioned earlier, our tradition and culture has as its foundation Bhakti. God and devotion to God is invariably the theme of all traditional art forms. Due to admixture of Bollywood, Hollywood, whatever it is, you can understand what I'm saying. These, the influence of the cinema world, the tradition has been eroded by irresponsible custodians of this field. Chinmaya Mission, at the foremost, I will talk about what is Chinmaya Mission doing in this regard. Chinmaya Mission has established a Gurukulam style of teaching traditional and pure art form like dance, music, Indian instruments, in order to bring back the purity of this Kala Parampara. That is being done at Kolwan. The University Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth has another wing which is taking care of this, our fine arts. So that also is given in the Gurukulam style. The teaching is given in a Gurukulam style where the student has to stay there and learn these arts. So coming to my earlier years of learning and teaching this classical Bharatanatyam, I should say this parampara played a major role, such as the Barur style. Then we have the Pandanallur style of dance. I have learned in the different styles also. So the main thing is the audience and the dancer through the performance are connected to Paramatma, where it is almost like, meditative samadhi achieved through the dancer dance and the audience being captured by the song, theme, and the bhava or the expression. This leads to a perfect experience of the mind being absorbed totally in the narrative of Bhagavan. The origin of dance traces back to Lord Nataraja, and so it is not a mere show or performance, but it is an involved interaction. My own personal experience has been, while performing, my attempt was always to take the audience along with me through my dance, which is song, rhythm, and expression, to connect with Bhagavan. Even when I was teaching this art form to young aspirants, they would love to hear me narrate the story behind every song that was taught. See, in our in our parampara of that is, as I mentioned, Valur Ramya Pillai, my guru Srimati Kamala Lakshman, you might have heard of her. She is actually the great dancer at that time. The contemporary of Vaijayantimala and Padma Subramaniam, and she was the foremost and the best dancer. And the way she taught also is a great experience to watch. She would mention how you should do and how you should not do, like Vidhi and Sheda came there itself. She would say, this is how people do, but this is not the way to do. Because the karnas, she had learned karnas also, 108 karnas. So she was able to tell how exactly it should be performed when it came to the nritya. Nritya means the footwork. And then when it came to the bhava portion, the sahitya of the song, when we are giving bhava for that, for the song portion, she would say, always you should get a story, which is connected with that particular devata, with that particular deity. And we should narrate that story in the dance form. So that way, I learned all the Puranas also, Puranic stories also in this, when she was doing this. So that helped me later when I was teaching. I could do the same thing with the students where, she was a great dancer and she was very busy at that time. Every month she will have some 15 programs. Every month I'm talking, and she would be traveling all over the world. So whenever she got time, I had classes. So that's how my dance learning happened. So it may be after a gap of 3 months, again, I would have to go to the class. And then I have to remember what all I had learned. So the responsibility of practicing was left in my hands. So then when she gave these stories, she would explain all that which is important for the bhava portion, how we should express it so that the audience can understand. So this way, the bhakti element was given more priority in the song when it came to song portion. And she was known for her nritya also, which is the precision in rhythm. When it came to footwork, she was known for that. That way, I was blessed to learn from her. And this, she not only did that, she made me also teach. So I was doubly blessed, I should say. She gave me the art, and also she, she guided me how to teach, how to compose, choreograph the footwork, and how to teach the students. So this way, I should say it helped me. But then this bhakti element which he had inculcated into me, that I was able to share with my students. And I'm sure it helped all of them, because it enabled them through this form of teaching, this way of teaching. I found that bhakti blossomed in these students, and it also enabled them to maintain the devotion in their hearts and divinity in their expression.
Wonderful, Shantaji. You gave a very unique perspective on integrating the arts and the spirituality aspect in life, the bhakti and the jnanam. So interesting. As we are coming to almost close to our session, I have just one or two more questions. One is that Swami Chinmayananda ji has extensively written. His works are very wide. So for a new person, for a new seeker starting on the journey, what are your suggestions on the approach one needs to take while reading Swami Chinmayananda ji's works? Perhaps you could guide about, you have something in mind about what books to read first and what comes next. Please do share.
Definitely. Swami Chinmayananda ji, whom we call as our Pujya Gurudev, his teachings always, were based upon Adi Shankaracharya's works and compositions. He brought out the essence of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita in easy flowing English and set to modern framework of understanding. Those who read or listen to his talks will find an immediate connection to their day-to-day situation, and at the same time, an advanced seeker will also get pointers to the deep secret of the Upanishadic message. In this way, Swamiji has opened the doors for those who do not have knowledge of Sanskritam to also take up the path of spirituality. Gurudev's books like Kindle Life, Vedanta for Householders, Logic and Spirituality, Life and Meditation, We Must, We Can are excellent books for a novice who has no Vedanta foundation to take up for studying. Then, to study Vedanta in a structured manner, Swamiji brought out the foundation Vedanta course offered by SIF, and later it was expanded to cover advanced Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, and essence of Upanishads by other Swamijis of the mission. For a serious seeker, Sanskrit courses followed by study of Swamiji's commentaries on Prakarana Grantha. Prakarana Granthas are the fundamental texts or the topical texts where, like Atma Bodha, Viveka Chudamani, Aparokshanubhuti, all composed by Shankaracharya ji, and then later take up Bhagavad Gita and finally Upanishads. So this Prakarana Granthas are very important. We should not go directly to, I remember in our course also, in 2-year Vedanta course, first we were taught many Prakarana Granthas. So that foundation was laid only after nearly 1 year of our study. We were given Bhagavad Gita teachings. So Swamiji took up Bhagavad Gita only after, he was satisfied with the way we were progressing, with regard to Vedanta knowledge. From the talks we give, he can, gauge where we are and how we are progressing. And he would now and then call us to his room, individually, and then he would talk to us. So that way also he understood where we are, and then he started Bhagavad Gita and later Upanishads. So this is the way one has to study with regard when it comes to Vedantic texts.
Shanti ji, one of the points we have been discussing is about bhakti, and you mentioned how you were inculcated bhakti in your life. I think one of the biggest issues facing our society today is atheism, which has seeped into our consciousness in the form of scientific thinking. So I think there is a great lack of bhakti, and only the bhakti can be an antidote to this development. So, what are your advice or some tips that you have that the parents can help their uh, children, especially the teenagers, to inculcate bhakti in their life?
It's a very important question. Bhakti, first of all, what is bhakti? Bhakti could be defined as a way of connecting ourselves to the source. As I said, connecting the jiva with the Paramatma, the individual jiva with that creator, the Ishvara. It becomes an integral part of karma and upasana. Without bhakti, karma could become selfish or even adharmic. Not only that, upasana, or in other words, devotion to that Bhagavan, will not culminate in jnanam. Recognizing this important fact, the entire traditional culture of India has weaved bhakti through Puranic stories, fine arts, folk arts, temples, yearly festivals, rituals, and rites, and also those and also the Gurukula method of teaching, etc., have been focusing on bhakti as a key element. A natural fallout, if you see, is that in every aspect of our life, bhakti has a role to play, whether it is Vidya Arambam, Graha Pravesam, marriage, new ventures, or even travel for that matter. Unfortunately, with the advent of the British and the Mughal rulership, the value system got eroded so much so that younger generation, though capable of pursuing this lofty culture and tradition, has given it up for the so-called materialistic approach. Swami Vivekananda and Swami Chinmayananda, through their clarion call to the youngsters of our country, tried to bring back the value systems into the mainstream. In Chinmaya Mission, we have got what is called as Balavihar program that was introduced by Puja Gurudev in the line of Sunday school to guide the youngsters so as to recognize our rich culture, heritage, and value systems and bring back both bhakti, or devotion to God in their life. Further, in Chinmaya Mission, through Yuva Veer program, I don't know if you have heard about it, we have what is called as Yuva Veer program, the value systems based on Shastra and love for God and a quest to know the real self is being inculcated. By these means, the mission is trying to revive bhakti and value systems in the minds of the youngsters. If one were to analyze the problems today, it is very easy to bring bhakti through chanting stotras, singing bhajans in the life of young children. As they become teens, they have a number of questions related to God, about our traditions, and about this world. Why do we this? Why should I do it? So many questions they have. And the elders themselves do not have sufficient knowledge with regard to why and what of our traditions, and they are unable to explain. To solve this issue, Chinmaya Mission also started the Dharma Seva course for elders so that they could become informed about our Shastra, Dharma, and our tradition. The challenge of today is that there are not many takers for these initiatives, especially in India. Forums like Advaita Academy should spread the awareness of such programs to the larger audience through their channels.
Thank you, Shanthi, for this wonderful conversation, a very thought-provoking conversation. I'm sure all the audience viewers who will be watching this interview will be greatly benefited. And on the behalf of entire Advaita Academy, Indica Moksha, and all our audience, I again thank you for making time to and for coming on this program. And we are very grateful for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be part of your program, and I hope this helps many people, to also take up. Our main idea is we want more people to take up this study of the scriptures and benefit by it. The benefit they can understand only when they experience it. So we have to encourage people to come into this fold of our, tradition and culture. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shantiji. Yes, with this we come to the conclusion of this in the Conversations and Consciousness session. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more updates about our upcoming interviews, events, and other things. With this, we conclude the session. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.